All right. Hello, everyone. I think we might have a few people on Facebook Live, which is nice. We're trying to get as many people as we can. We're trying to just be a place where people can come and ask questions or share information. Tonight, I don't think we have much of an agenda. I have sort of a regular agenda written down, but I'm not sure the administrators are coming tonight. Normally, the principal and the assistant principal give a presentation and just kind of an update, and I think they're swamped right now and worn out. So we're gonna give them a pass on that one. Oh, here's Mr. Leatherwood, actually. Maybe we can get him to say a few words. Put people on the spot as soon as they join the meeting. Mr. Leatherwood, you there?
Yes, I am.
I was just saying I didn't know if you would show up or not.
Yeah, well, I'm showing up. I'm here.
That's good. Do you want to say anything, or do you want to just pass for now? How are you feeling?
Well, I just like to say it was I'm trying to get my audio video on.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot right away.
Yeah.
Just...
all in all, I think we had a good opening given the time we've been off. There are a few kinks that I think everybody knows about. The major one probably is a few things related to transportation, but not really a lot. But we had some of those. I think by and large, the kids were happy to be back. The kids that returned were happy to be back at school in that capacity. I think just from observation, obviously the teachers were happy to have them back, and I was able to get into some of the virtual learning as well. And those students that were in virtual learning, some of them had changed classes. They were the teachers received them well, and it seemed as if they were all happy this first day and this first opportunity to change. I think so. All in all, I think it was a positive beginning. So, but we'll keep moving and see what happens as time moves on.
Okay, great. I forgot to do introduction. So I'm Joey Conover. I'm the PTO president. We've got Amanda Olms, who's our treasurer, and Catherine Gray, who's our secretary. And Krista is another parent who's done some stuff with the PTO, who's on here right now. And then Principal Leatherwood is here as well. So other people may join us. And we were just saying, we're just going to keep this short. Mr. Leatherwood, we just wanted to give a few updates and see how people are doing. I was particularly interested in the transportation, as I know that's been a challenge across the district, and it was discussed at the school board meeting last week. And I understood at that time that there was a wait list of 29 kids for the buses. Do you have any update on that?
I don't have a specific number, but you're probably pretty close. But we got some information today that told us that the transportation was going to review the list and not guaranteeing, but to look to see if it was feasible to maybe run another bus. But right. It's not in stone yet. But I think they are looking at that. They looked at it today, and they're gonna look at it daily and try to update it. And there were a few kids that had put in to ride the bus, and a few of those kids, the parents drove them. And in those situations, if that happens, that can free up a spot, maybe a spot or two on the buses. And of course, when I say buses, it is one bus that makes both runs actually for us.
So we have one bus and one driver right now with two routes.
We have they're the same bus. Yeah, that's the way to couch it. Yeah, it runs the route. I don't get me mixed up. It's Violet, and I'm trying to think of the other word, but it's
Rose, maybe.
Rose, Violet and Rose. There were two routes, and the same driver runs those routes. And but they are looking at. We got some information today. They are going to explore that, not only for us, but for the other schools, to see if there's a feasible way of increasing that service for students, and hopefully it works out that way. But they are exploring it and looking at it. We had to and they were updating the information on the rider list and the people that were riding and things of that nature, and checking out families that may have had maybe an overlook with siblings riding, that where you could take more kids if the same kids from the same family were riding. So they're looking at those things now, and as I said, it's with the narrowed down version of transportation, it's going to take them a little while. So hopefully we can get more opportunity for kids to ride the bus.
Yeah, for anyone who wasn't listening to the school board meeting or the 6 hours of it, part of the challenge, it sounds like, well, it's primarily been an inability to hire drivers, and why they've been unable to hire drivers is a mix of reasons. I've heard one issue is the slow schedule of the DMV for people who are recently trained to get the actual certification. They're ready to get a job right away, and then they have to wait for the DMV to certify them, and that's been slow. Some of it is testing for the drivers themselves who can certify the testing. I heard today another issue, which it sounded like there's I think it's called Network to Work or something at PVCC, where jobs are posted. And it sounds like Albemarle and UVA and surrounding counties have been part of that system to post jobs, and the city of Charlottesville has not been posting jobs. Which probably hasn't helped hiring because of various reasons, one of which is that there is no current director of human resources at the city of Charlottesville. I'm not exactly sure how bus drivers for the schools are hired, but there's been an ongoing back and forth about whether the schools buses should be with the city buses or separate as a contract, or managed by the schools. Anyway, this is a long ongoing thing that was pre-COVID already a problem. So there's a PTO member from Johnson who's been really advocating that this needs to be talked about on a district level and figured out before the next school year severely. So some of this is advocacy on the state level to push to get more support from the state or legislative change. So anyway, I'm just giving an update because a lot of people are not aware of what's been going on. So there's different threads on Facebook and on Reddit about transportation. The other big question I had for you, Mr. Leatherwood, did you ever hear from PHA about some staff of theirs helping with a walking school bus from Friendship Court?
I've heard of that, but of course, the essence of it is really, really good. I think that the where you put, this is just my opinion, not anybody else's opinion. I've heard of that vehicle for getting kids there, but I think if you advocate for something like that as a school, you take on some responsibility and liability, I would think. So I'm not an attorney.
Did you get an email from PHA about that?
I don't remember seeing an email, but I've gotten so many emails I didn't.
I know. Okay. Well, I might connect with them and again see how they're doing, because I walked my daughter to school today, and we ended up. What's up?
As I heard, with some other kids.
Oh yeah, and so there was another family that we walked with, and we might try to help walk with a couple other families that I talked to the school counselor about today, and I just don't know how much there was another backlog. Was there an issue of kids not showing up today, or people found a way to get to school, you think?
I think by and large, kids got to school. We had some absences as far as the numbers are concerned. I think we were fairly close, but there were a few. We got a few calls a day of parents that made it anyway, but they still were concerned about doing that, getting kids there consistently. So,
okay.
So hopefully with the updates, and they said they were going to update. I'll know more about that, tomorrow.
Sure. No, I think it's a transition. I understand we have a crossing guard at least.
We do. Yeah.
So that's good. and I touched base with a police officer, Sergeant, I don't know what his title is, sorry, that I know from our neighborhood, and he said they were going to be paying attention during that rush hour, so.
Okay, yeah, that's great, because that road is Monticello is a pretty. I was over here before, and it was a road that people travel even when the school lights are on, drive too fast through there. So I've seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is people can figure out how to get there one way, but they might have trouble getting home in the afternoon or vice versa. So I would encourage people to reach out to the school board and push them to find a solution. I know there's people upset that they would have people go back to school and there not be a way to get there. So that's just, that's what I've been hearing. Okay, just to do quickly what we normally do, just to approve minutes from last time. I didn't really send any minutes out, so let's just kind of bypass that. Catherine?
In that case, I approve.
Okay. Did I send them out, Catherine? Not sure.
I don't remember. I vaguely remember writing them, but maybe I never even
I know.
finished them. I'm not sure.
That's
I didn't see them.
Spring elections next month. I wanted to actually talk to you guys at some point about trying to maybe make some names for positions that people might like, that might attract somebody to take on a volunteer position. Like if things were broken into chunks that were smaller and manageable. I don't know, like a social media person, or, you know, a parent liaison or something, you know, I'm not sure if anybody has thoughts, but I think doing the two roles that you guys are doing, it's hard to sort of split that out too much, you know. But
Yeah, and I think it's hard right now, just after the last year of like super parenting for everybody, the
Yeah.
idea of asking anybody to do
Nobody wants
anything
to.
else
I know.
is hard. So it might be that we just sort of have to keep
Piece it.
going for a few months
Yeah.
with whichever of us remain, and then like try to,
Figure it out.
once parents get some deep breaths and childcare,
Yep.
like then there might be more bandwidth for people to take
Yeah.
on projects.
Yep, I agree. Amanda, do you just want to talk about the financials a little bit?
Sure. Let's see. Am I able to share my screen?
I can share that if you want.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to share the balance sheet thing. So, I mean, briefly, we have about $6,000 less than we did last month, mostly because we spent about $4,000 of the joint fund money on lots of supplies for teachers and for the school in general, and playground equipment and stuff like that. So that was the bulk of our spending in the last month. And then also we spent about $1,600 on teacher appreciation cards and giving all the teachers $20. And then our Soul Feast was our other big expense in the last month, when we got JBD catering. So the other thing that we learned in the last month is that our Charlottesville Area Community Foundation, all of their accounts, something went wrong, and so they're adjusting the accounts. I think we're going to end up going down, but then getting back some fees, because I guess they put too much money in people's accounts. I'm not sure. They sent out a letter that they made some mistake. So they will be adjusting it in the next couple of weeks. And so our amount will go down, not horribly much, but some. And yeah, it's hard to see that.
I know, if anybody can even see that, I can
Yeah.
post that.
Basically, so we've, as far as our joint fund money, we have received in hand about $15,000 and spent $13,500 of that, but there's still that other like $2,000 some that is somewhere. So all in all, I think we have about $4,000 left that we can spend of that joint fund money. And 1,000 of that is committed to getting masks for everybody.
And we did get a donation of like, I think like 200 masks that were handmade by that Creative Craft Collective in Charlottesville.
Good.
So those are on hand. That's why she waited to order them.
Okay.
She had those. And my child came home and talked about something she got to use on the playground today that was new. I think one of those walk zip line kind of things or something. So that was nice to hear. She seemed excited about that. Yeah, slack line.
Micah was excited that he got his own bag with a jump rope and a ball to play with on the playground. So that was one of the things that we used the money on. So
that's great. Yeah, I think that's been great. Mr. Leatherwood, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, on behalf of the teachers, I think that was a great gesture in terms of showing the appreciation to them for with a little donation. I've seen the replies on the email and heard that they are really appreciative of thinking of them that way, and just wanted to reiterate that. I know they sent you some emails regarding that, Ms. Gray, but I've heard some things, and I think they really appreciate you thinking about them in that way.
That's nice.
Well, I will also just say that the jump rope was also a big hit with the virtual school crew too here. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah, we did a bunch of teacher requests for materials in the last week or two. So I think that's good. Things like magnetic letters and some stress things. And Catherine, can you remember some of the other ones?
Yes, because I brought them all to Clark in my tiny car this weekend. Yeah, so like the yellow zone tool, the stretchy thing to start. An anonymous donor is giving little Play-Dohs to every kid too, as like next week's yellow zone tool.
That's awesome.
And then we had kindergarten has some like incentives for extra like mask wearing and staying in their space and other things. And we had there are these dots that some teachers are using when the kids are up and out of their seat to show like each kid where to stand when they're out of their seat. So I think every teacher has a set of those, some other recess tools too. So lots of, and all the headphones, I saw kids using those today. So it was nice to have all of those things. Teachers have felt very supportive with all of this stuff showing up into classrooms.
That's good. Okay, let's see. So just on my list going down, we did teacher appreciation. That's great. I just listed resources to families again. The counselor sent out a message too with links for resources for food. I don't know if there's much rental assistance, and I don't know, we're like reaching a new climax of people not being able to pay for rent after a year and national support waning for that. So I don't have much to say, but I know people are struggling. Then we've got school needs. I would just encourage teachers still to reach out to us. We still have a little bit of funding left, and we have our general PTO funds too. And we really want to find creative ways to help kids get back into the school mode and get back on track. So any creative teacher ideas, bring them to us. Same for the virtual students too. I mean, we still need to reach out to the kids who are at home as well. So it sounded like Catherine said that we're going to get some more outdoor equipment this Friday, which is exciting. Not sure when that will get installed, but
yeah, we might need to, I know that the person that I have or was in contact with has not been getting back to me very fast, but she's also like, her old job is sort of, now she's doing a lot of the COVID return to school stuff. So Mr. P said he might be able to install some of it himself. So I'll reach back out and check with all of that, but it would be nice. It's a balance beam and wooden stepping rings, just like the set we have, but a duplicate.
okay.
that we ordered back
And-
in November and should arrive on Friday.
Okay. And I have still not coordinated the boulders thing with Mr. P. It's hard to get over. There's a place in the valley to go to deal with it. And we need a designer really to lay out where it would go in the playground. So apart from school needs, I've got family needs. We talked about transportation, food. I think there's the food resources. I don't know if we were going to do another food pickup. Mr. Leatherwood, are there going to be any more materials pickups? There's one tomorrow for virtual kids. Is that right? No?
The virtual one was last week.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that makes more sense.
Right. I'm not sure. I think for the most part, materials have been picked up actually. So I'll double check that, but it's not really a lot more around. There were a few things in the canisters outside. Some kids were looking for books. I looked at them going outside today, but for the most part, they've been picked up, I think.
I think Mr. Tillman said something about a continued monthly pickup for the virtual kids, but obviously that's a small proportion now. So, yeah.
So maybe we just skip the food pickup this month and talk about it next month. Masks, we talked about that. I guess we'll just sort of see how kids do with the masks. You keep us posted, Mr. Leatherwood, but that's a place we could help at least a little bit.
We certainly will. And I can say from my observations as well, and the students were walking up and down the hall, even the small ones, every kid was wearing a mask and for the most part correctly. So that's
They've been doing it for a year.
that's a positive thing. But sometimes when kids are maybe around other kids for the first time, it's the first time they did a good job from what I observed
Right.
today.
Yeah.
So.
Another thing I just remembered was I was supposed to go like 3 weeks ago and go look at this daily progress box to make like a books on bikes box to put on the school grounds, or 2 of them. Did you hear about that, Mr. Leatherwood?
Have not. No.
Okay, so basically I saw this on Facebook, somebody had done, and I got the idea, is basically take, an old, I forget what they call them, but the newspaper boxes that are around town and turn it into like a little library, basically, where people could drop off books to books on bikes and take books out or whatever. I think it functionally works well. I mean, I don't quite know like how the spring mechanism is, if the door's really hard, or I don't want anybody to get hurt or anything. But so we have a pickup truck and I was going to go get those and see if we could make a little project. I think Mr. Tillman or somebody, we talked about it potentially being a project for the kids, something they could do outside and paint them or something, which might be kind of fun to encourage the idea. I don't know if you're up for that. So that's still on my list.
The only concern now is just that, like, I know Miss Craig is quarantining books when they're returned and before they go back out.
Yeah.
Like some families might be fine with it, but some might not at this time. And we're trying to be careful about like cross contamination of
Right.
classes and student groups.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to her again. I mean, she's aware of this. I've emailed with her about it.
Okay.
I think my thought was that like people could drop off books, and if she ever wants, she can take out whatever in there and just quarantine them. But if there's some books that are in there and you're somebody who doesn't really care, you could take some out too, but if you don't think that's a good idea.
No, I'm not.
Talk to her about it.
Yeah, or it might be like a CCS question about what can be on school property that is shared equipment as of right now, because
That's fine. I mean, we could get it ready for next year or something.
right. It's just a little more complicated now, and there's some things where like I don't know what the rule is or what maybe there's a recommendation, but it's not the rule. I don't know.
Okay. I don't think we're doing much fundraising right now. If anybody has any other feelings about that. I just left the old neighborhood announcement things, but I don't think we have any specific volunteer needs right now. But I was going to see if anybody had any questions. I'm looking on the Facebook group. I don't think anybody's got any questions on here. Anybody else have any thoughts? No. Krista? Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Leatherwood, for joining us for a little update. We appreciate that.
We thank you all for all your hard work on behalf of our students. So great job, and I know everybody appreciates you.
One other thing I just was going to say is I do think it might be good to do, I mean, I guess people didn't really join Mr. Tillman's Q&As last week too much, but I think maybe they were sort of short notice, or I don't know, and I didn't push them out.
Well,
I just still think it might be good to do that again at some point, maybe.
We joined the virtual one,
How
and
many
one
people
thing,
were on that?
not that many, but the other thing that happened is I think that there was maybe a little confusion about which was for virtual, which was for in-person, and basically the virtual one got completely
I heard
hijacked
that.
by
Yeah.
people with in-person questions, which were totally reasonable questions. It was just sort of like not the goal of that particular one.
Right.
So, but I
Well-
think it also might make sense to give it a couple of weeks and see how everybody does with the transition, right? And see whether questions arise at that
Yeah.
point. I don't know.
And I'll get Mr. Tillman and let him know that it's coming. So we'll be ready. So if you guys make the plan to do that, and be happy to answer parent questions. Schools are usually divided into 4 9-week periods, and actually you look at our quadrant here, it's about a 12-week period. 12-week period between now and the time that probably school is going to be out. So it returning, I think people would have questions. They have a little time to kind of digest what they are interested in, or some issues that they might want to talk about. So yeah, I think that's a good idea for you guys.
Do you know when Clark normally does parent-teacher conferences?
It's usually around, from what I'm understanding, my experience in the past, when I'm looking at a calendar now, it's usually close to the end of the marking period. And the marking period usually, because you guys started a little bit later, it usually is the last marking period is toward the end of March, early April, usually. It may be pushed back a little bit now, but during the time, when the third marking period ends, it's usually a work day in there.
Okay, because we just did one in the fall, and I mean, I ended up having one with I'm satisfied right now with what I've had, but I don't know if other families would know to reach
Right,
out the
right,
same way.
Right. We could definitely look at something toward the end of this, whatever the third 9 weeks is,
Right.
the ending period. I think that's a opportune time to do that.
Okay. And just to let you guys know, I think it's daylight savings time change next weekend. So be ready for that.
Yeah, this Saturday.
I think it's a Saturday, yeah.
This Saturday. Okay.
This Saturday.
Yeah. And spring break is the week of April 5th. So. And school goes later than I realized. It goes till June 11th. So. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon then. Okay. Bye.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah.